It would come as no surprise to anyone who follows this channel that I love decluttering and getting rid of things that I no longer need. And if that's something that inspires you, I have lots of playlists which will be linked down here below in the description that you can follow along and declutter your space. But a big part of decluttering is, what the heck do we do with all the stuff that we're getting rid of? In this video, I'm quickly going to share with you my 4 principles, or the 4 categories that I use when I get things out of my home, and some guiding principles that can hopefully help you declutter faster and get those unwanted items out of your house so that you, your partner, your kids, somebody else doesn't keep bringing them back in. So let's roll. For these 4 categories to work really well, I want you to think about them before you even start decluttering. And we're going to cover all 4 categories really quickly because we're going to deal with trash, we're going to deal with recycling, we're going to deal with donations, and we're going to sell some stuff. So those are the 4 categories I recommend that you start with at any given time. I also recommend that you have a space, maybe your garage or a storage locker or a room or even the boot of your car, where some of these items are going to go straight away as you declutter. You can also use a spare bedroom or something like that, but just be really mindful, because the longer things linger in your home, the more likely it is that you or somebody else in your family might keep the items and they will weirdly migrate their way back in. So using these 4 categories straight off the bat will help you get the stuff out of your house and make your space look better much faster. Category 1 is by far the easiest one, which is trash. Trash is sometimes hard to qualify and identify though. So let's be really clear here. I normally use a normal trash bag, like a white or a black garbage bag, so that you can't see through it, which means that you and other people are less likely to dig things out as you go through your decluttering process. But what is trash? Trash is things that we can't recycle. Trash is things that are torn, broken, basically anything that you would not gift to a friend or a family member, we'll talk about that in a second, or that you wouldn't pick up yourself in a secondhand shop. So if it is stained, broken, looking really old and worn, please do not clutter up anybody else's space, including charities, with stuff that's not nice. So if it is broken, if it is not worthy of donating or selling, then it goes in the trash. Now, please, please, please do not throw batteries or electrical things in the trash. I know it's really tempting and you're going through your house like a whirlwind and you're like, nah. But do not throw batteries in landfill garbage. There's a lot of chemicals in batteries, and there's obviously batteries in a lot of electrical items these days. Where I live in Australia, we can recycle batteries at pretty much all the major supermarkets, and big places like Officeworks or similar will often take items that have electrical stuff in them or batteries in them. So be responsible with your trash. It can be so confronting, and it's actually a really good exercise if you ever have a chance to go to a dump station or a landfill and just look at it. It's really, really confronting. I've done it a few times, but take your things to the local place where you can get rid of them. So I remember that years ago, I had a coffee machine that was broken. It would have been really tempting to throw it in the trash, but what I did is I actually looked up the local area where I lived, and they had a free place near the landfill where I could take electrical items and they kind of take care of them. So as tempting as it is to toss it, please don't throw batteries and things like that in the garbage. Find a suitable and safe way to dispose of that. Next up, we have recycling, and there is a lot of things that can be recycled. We're not looking at donations yet. We're looking at things that is kind of trash, like cardboard, paper, glass, things like that. So things that you have no use for and you're not going to donate, they go straight in recycling. Things like old CDs and things like that actually can't be recycled. A lot of us are not sure sometimes, so do a quick Google, and if you're not sure, create a separate pile, whether it's photos or CDs or something like that. Make a little pile and do a quick Google where you live if it is something that you can recycle. Most often, a lot of things that we sometimes believe, like certain types of plastic, we're like, oh, I'll throw that in recycling, but certain types of plastics actually can't be. So have a quick look on the item that you're discarding. Just look at the bottom and see what kind of recycling recycling symbol is there, if any. If there is no recycling symbol, often unfortunately it has to go in the garbage. So have a quick look through that, and depending on where you live, in Sweden where I grew up, recycling, you go to a big recycling station and you put your metal and your paper and all the things individually. Here in Australia, we just throw everything in the one recycling bin and then it goes to the recycling plant to be sorted there. Either way, make sure that the things you recycle are things that are recyclable. Now over to category 3, which is donations. And this one actually has 3 subcategories to it. We have family and friends, so things that you're going to give to people that you know. We have charities or charity shops, or op shops as we call them here in Australia, opportunity shops. And finally, we have local buy nothing, pay it forward type groups. So let's tackle them one at a time. So the great thing about donating to friends and family is that we can give something a new life. Obviously very common if you have kids and they've outgrown their kids or baby clothes, it's very common to gift that to a friend or a family member who's about to have a baby. And it's really nice with things like that you can gift things to someone else, and it will definitely be useful. I will say though, be really, really careful. Some of us, and I have some in my extended family, have people who not necessarily are hoarders, but probably borderline hoarders, or they like to hold on to things. So do not gift things to people who you know that there is a risk behavior. It's not your problem to deal with any disorder or challenges that they have, but don't tempt them if you don't have to. And I know that sounds really obvious, but it's a really kind and helpful thing to do. But obviously ask the person if they genuinely want or need that thing. Do not force things on people or bring it to their house if they haven't asked for it, whether it be an item or food items or clothing or anything else. So normally what I do is I go through my closet, etc. I'll just take photos of things and ping it through a friend or a family member that I think might be able to use it. And if they say no, then I just go, okay, I'll either now go to category 4, which is selling, or I'll donate it to a charity or something else. So be mindful when you're giving things away to people that it's something they genuinely want and that is useful to them, and don't be pushy. Which takes me to the second sub point, which is charity shops or op shops or secondhand shops. I love secondhand shopping. I've done a whole video on this channel, actually several videos on the items in my wardrobe, including shoes, etc., that are from the secondhand shops. So I love it. But be mindful, because when you donate to a charity, there are volunteers. And again, I talked before about going and looking at a landfill. Volunteer in a charity shop sometime and just get an understanding of the huge amount of trash they get. Things that are simply not good enough to be worn, sold, or even passed on. So it is an interesting thing as you are putting things into that bag or that box that you're going to take to charity. Have a look over the item and go, is it stained? Is it torn? Is it clean? Like, if you've literally used it, please wash it before you give it away, because they don't have time to wash clothing and wash items. I always wash things that I buy in secondhand stores, and you might as well if that's something you do. But look at it critically and think of the previous category. Would you give this item in this condition to a friend or a family member? If the answer is yes, then it's probably good enough to be donated, but do look over it with a critical eye. Things that I often toss and never would give to either a family member or a charity for that matter are things like underwear, socks, old t-shirts that have been worn too much. But the cool thing is that you can also repurpose those things. So an old t-shirt that's not good enough to be donated, you might be able to use it as a rag in your garage or for car cleaning or for cleaning your house for a little while longer, give it a bit more life, and then it goes in the trash eventually. And the final vein of donation is local buy nothing or pay it forward groups. There are lots of these around, and you don't have to be on Facebook as a regular user, but that's how I found a lot of my local ones. And it's basically the same as selling something on Facebook Marketplace. You basically just take a photo of the item with a quick description and let people know where they can collect it, and especially if you're looking to get rid of something really quick. I have done this before with furniture, clothing, kitchen appliances, appliances. For example, my local secondhand shop here don't accept electrical items, but I had a stick blender that I decluttered in a previous episode. I will link that below. But it was like a stick blender whisk thing, and it had all the attachments. It was working. I just had a duplicate. So I put it up in a local pay it forward group, and someone came and picked it up the very same day. You can also do contactless things and leave them on the nature strip outside your home, etc., or on the porch or on the stairs if you don't really want to have that contact with people. But I think it's great. You know, the thing that you no longer want might be perfect for somebody else. And category number 4 is selling things. And I've left this last, although for some people you might do this first, but I've left this last because for a lot of us, we have grand plans to have a table or a car boot sale or a flea market table or even selling things online. But what I would like you to think about as you look at your items is absolutely have a try, but you are going to need to trade time for money in selling the item. Now, it's a no-brainer. Like if it's a technical item, I remember selling my previous laptop when I upgraded. It was still in decent working order. I just wanted to upgrade my laptop for additional functionality. So I sold my previous laptop. I didn't have the box, but I had everything else for it. And someone came and bought it, tested it, and picked it up for a lot cheaper. So I was able to save that laptop from going into landfill somewhere or in recycling. But it did take a little bit of time, and I had to sift through the answers. So ask yourself, if you're looking to sell an item, what are you looking to charge for the thing? Let's say you're looking to sell something for $10. How many hours are you gonna have to spend sifting through answers, dealing with people who don't respond to get that $10? I'm not saying $10 is not worth your time, but you need to think about time versus money and ask yourself how long you're willing to spend on that thing. I have sold a lot of things in the past: clothing, hiking shoes, furniture pieces, technical items, hiking backpack, all sorts of things. So it's well worth doing, but be really mindful that you are going to have to deal with people who may not respond, people who are aggressive, people who are rude. Most people are lovely, but some might not be. So before you decide to sell something, just be really mindful of what you're likely going to get for it. And if you are going to sell something, pick the right platform. So is it a pretty rare item? Then eBay might be a lot better, for example, than Facebook Marketplace. Here in Australia, we have Gumtree, which is similar to Craigslist in the States, which is good for other things. So picking the right platform for the type of item you're selling is also really important. So those are the categories I tend to use when I'm decluttering. And if you're just starting out decluttering, I actually have a whole decluttering series, which I will link that playlist below in the description for you. You can use this as inspiration, and please remember that it doesn't matter how much or little stuff you have or where you're starting from. Small little steps will help a lot. But also do remember to be responsible where you are getting rid of your stuff. And if you're looking at the pile of things and you're almost in tears because you're like, I am gonna throw so much money, I'm gonna get so much money out the door and I'm not gonna get the money back that I paid for the item, it feels really bad, I feel really bad for my past choices. Just be kind and compassionate with yourself. Getting rid of things is a natural process that we all have to do, whether it's a lot or a little. And there's nothing wrong with getting rid of things, but use it as if it's looking confronting and making you upset, look at it and go, isn't it interesting that I've learned so much about myself and this is not going to happen again in this way, and I'm now going to dispose of these items in the most suitable way. Good luck with your decluttering. Let me know in the comments below if there are any particular decluttering tips you would like from me. I hope you have an amazing week, and I look forward to see you soon.